Hi everyone, my name is Nicola Komninos and this is day 4 of a week in China and we're talking to Anneli van Schoor. Hello Anneli, how are you doing?
Hi Nicola, fine and you?
Very well, thank you. Lovely to see you as always.
Yes.
Today I actually especially put on the scarf that I bought. I think it was my first trip when I visited you in China. At one of those beautiful ancient markets. It was really awesome. So my little cat scarf, I think it's silk. I don't know. Anyway, I love it. So I wanted to, yesterday we spoke a bit about how it's been, how the barricades were put up and how lockdown worked. So that was really interesting. So I wanted to ask you today specifically to just share with us what the second 2 weeks were like. So I think that was from about 8 February. So it was still early February. What was it like? What happened on the ground there in China?
This was actually the worst time in China. It was really a horrible time because the infections started to skyrocket, especially in Wuhan. And other provinces also started reporting cases, but definitely not as much as there. In Hubei, the province of Wuhan, probably 70 to 80% all the cases that was reported, the infections were there. Then
7-0.
About the
Anneli, 7-0. 70 to 80%.
70 to 80%.
Wow.
Of the cases, the infections were actually in Hubei and Wuhan. That's why the government decided to isolate the whole province and isolate Wuhan, because they knew that, they call it a hot spot, right? They knew that this was the hot spot. So the cases skyrocketed incredibly. On the 16th, it was the highest. Thousands, I think about 8,000 or something, and it went up in about 1 or 2 days.
Sure.
So the government was in emergency mode, not the local government, of course, the national government. And they even built 2 temporary hospitals in 10 days. Incredible, but really, of course, prefabricated, but it was incredible. We saw that on TV every night. People working throughout the night to get things going, because the government decided that, or they already found out that Hubei, it's impossible in Hubei to accommodate all the patients who were running around in Hubei trying to find hospitals for their family members that got ill. Some people couldn't even find a hospital for their family members. So the government decided they have to help. They actually sent more than 40,000 medical personnel from all over China to Wuhan to help, to Hubei, especially Wuhan, to help. From all the provinces. They had a wonderful scheme. They call it a pairing scheme of cities with Shanghai, Beijing, the capital of Sichuan, Chengdu, and those provinces that had many highly trained physicians, nurses, were all to help, especially in the ICU, because that's the biggest problem. Because most hospitals just have small ICU, and now suddenly they found that they had to admit many people into the ICUs, and it was just impossible. So the military were also asked to help. Of course, they have medical personnel in the military too. So, like I said, more than 40,000 personnel were flown there, and they paired the cities, teams from the different cities, to go and help Wuhan. And then they built the temporary hospitals, and they started a program of checking every citizen of Wuhan. Everyone. It sounds impossible, but I've explained the community system to you, so it's actually possible. The community center people were asked to check everybody. They have to knock on every door in the whole city. They had different apartments, different communities, community centers. You have to knock on all that. You knock on the door until people open, and then you ask, "Are you okay?" And they take the temperatures, and if there's somebody ill, they have to separate the person from the family. Because of course the whole family will be infected. So it was a mammoth task to check everybody, and that's why the infections went up. The confirmed infections went up so much, because they knew that there were more people probably infected, suspected cases, like they call that. They call it contact tracing. The moment they had somebody, they were asking that person, "Where have you been?" And then they would get into contact with those people too, to make sure that everybody is all possible cases are separated. So that's why they built the temporary hospitals, to accommodate people. And the moment that they had contacts, they would just tell people, "You go to the temporary hospital, whether you want it or not. We have to do this." And
what did they do at the hospital, Anneli? Did they test them all, or did they just do symptom checking? Or
mostly ask, "Are you sick?" or something, and then if they were, of course, they were taken away. "Are you feeling well?" Not sick, but "Are you feeling well? Is your temperature high? Who's got high temperature?" And these people would be told where to go, because the temperature was, they said 37.3. Anything higher than 37.3, supposed to be, you're supposed to be a little bit ill. So they separated those people from the rest of the family or community. And
if it's old people, that would have been so sad. So no one could be with them at the hospital. Sorry, I think just being separated from your family sounds horrible.
What else do you do? What do you do? They have then already confirmed person-to-person transmission. And if that's the case, you will have a whole family infected and probably dying if you don't separate them. Yes, there were horrible stories. I cried many times when I saw some of these things on TV. Take a little child away from its mother and father, because what you have to especially make sure that little children are safe, right? Maybe the two parents were infected. What do you have to do that? I must tell you that I think the medical personnel looking after these children very well. I mean, they would be nurses that look after the children, and they would explain to the children why they do everything. It's horrible, but what else can you do? You have.
My heart just goes out to everyone in China that had to go. It sounds so traumatic that you had to go through that, and even you just seeing it on TV.
So traumatic. It's so traumatic. They are talking about it now because, of course, now people are calm because nothing much is going on now. They are talking about the trauma that people are suffering from now, because it's just like at that stage you just cope. You do what you have to do, but of course you are living with this sort of questions and what's going to happen and everything, and the trauma is coming out now. But there's a big program. Psychologists from all the hospitals and all the areas are contacting people and looking at them and trying to help them.
Wow, sure, Anneli. That's amazing. So you already explained a little bit about the stats and how it went up because they started to actually go visit each individual family. So there was a lot of controversy in the West about whether the stats were right or wrong. Do you have any views on that or any thoughts to share?
Yes, I do. I watched the stats every day. I was really obsessed. Really, I was obsessed with getting information. So I watched wherever I could find it. I watched what was going on and actually wrote it down, province by province. I wrote down what was the cases confirmed today, the deaths today. The next day I would do the same and watch it. And because I already knew that such a big percentage of what was going on in China was in Wuhan and Hubei, two other cities outside Hubei was also had lots of people infected. That's why they built the temporary hospitals too. I knew it made sense to me. Of course, nobody can know exactly, but it made total sense to me that because I watched the provinces too, and I saw that most provinces never had a lot of infections. For instance, Zhejiang province, my province, and Guangdong province, and another one, Henan, in the south. They were the only provinces all the time, from the beginning until now, that had more than about 1,200, my province, 1,200 something, and then Guangdong a little bit more. And most of them, the people that were infected, confirmed, treated, and they were discharged later. Only a few deaths in the rest of the provinces. What happened in China happened in Hubei and mostly in Wuhan. So I am not disputing the stats. For me, because I watched it every day, and it was done by the National Health Commission, and of course later the Johns Hopkins University also got involved, and they sent a team here, and they did an inspection in China for, I think, about a whole week or more. They came to Zhejiang, I think, and they went to Guangdong, and they went to Wuhan, and they checked things. So I don't know. I think it's quite impossible to hide things. What did happen is that after Wuhan was opened, the government in Wuhan said they're going to check the stats again because it was such a crisis. Everybody was running around and trying to treat people and saving people's lives, that apparently there were some cases not reported. And they revised the statistics. They actually did it, and they said, okay, we add a few more, not a few more, I think it was about 1,000 more deaths, and then about, I don't know, a little bit more of the reported cases, the confirmed cases. So they did revise it after open. But I don't know. I don't dispute it. This is what happened. It was horrible there, absolutely horrible. But in the rest of China, because of all the strict regulations and because of extremely good public health care, I can only tell you what happened in my city. All the doctors and nurses were on duty permanently, all the time. All the hospitals was right. If anybody said anything about feeling not well, they would be contacted and handled. And so I think public health system is extremely good here. That's also why. And because of all these people, all medical personnel that was flown to Wuhan, that was taken to Wuhan, people were the whole of China's best virologists, epidemiologists, ICU people were in Wuhan. So
they managed it so closely.
Yes, I think this. And I know what people say. People say, and some countries say, I know.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Anneli. That was so interesting again, and I look forward to tomorrow, which is our last chat. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.